Fridays and Saturdays only.
If every time you look around it seems like your rug is dirty, try Woolite Spot and Stain Rug Cleaner. Because it contains the ingredient Fiberpel, it keeps your heavy traffic areas cleaner longer than the other liquid spray. Trust new Woolite Spot and Stain Rug Cleaner.
It is Mexico City's most notorious killer, the air over Mexico City. Winter is the smog season now, and this year the pollution from cars and industry is worse than ever. It's estimated that Mexico City's pollution is killing up to 4,500 people every year. NBC's Don Oliver reports tonight on this deadly fact of life.
Mexico City is in there somewhere. This month, the capital of Mexico experienced the worst smog in its history. It has become known as the city with the worst air pollution in the world.
If the contamination keeps on growing at the same percentage, by the year 2000, we'll have to evacuate the city of Mexico.
It is the poor people who suffer the most. They live where pollution is the worst. 6-year-old Alejandro Varelta has had this rash as long as he can remember. Doctors say it is caused by toxics in the air. Juana Mercado says she and her 4 children have sore throats, irritated eyes, and wake up with headaches from the smog. It is worst in the winter, when cold air is trapped under a layer of warm air in the Mexico City basin. The pollutants can't escape. Last year, a government study showed that respiratory problems increased 23% during the period of heaviest smog.
We are concerned with this problem because it's not a good health for the people.
In January, the government prohibited public schools from opening until 10 a.m. because the worst smog is in the early morning. Caused mainly by the 2.5 to 3 million vehicles on the streets and highways of Mexico City. 80% of the pollution is attributed to motor vehicle exhaust, in a city where most cars, trucks, and buses are old and in poor mechanical condition. The government agency for ecology, known as SEDUE, has set up an elaborate network of smog monitoring stations and instigated a campaign to convince residents to leave their cars home 1 day a week. But until now, SEDUE has been ineffective in reducing pollution. Next month, a new law goes into effect, giving the government power to force motorists to repair and tune up their cars. Mexico has the plans to reduce smog, but many question whether the government really has the will. Environmentalists worry that politics and corruption will prevent proper enforcement of anti-pollution laws. Don Oliver, NBC News, Mexico City.
These days, you gotta stay on top of things, because times have changed. This small pickup, the Ford Ranger, now outsells Toyota. And what's more, Ranger has more features and a lower sticker price than Toyota. Features like tachometer, interval wipers, and light group. Plus, Ranger's got a fuel-injected engine. And to top it off, Ranger has a 6-year, 60,000-mile powertrain warranty. Toyota doesn't. Sorry to burst your bubble, Toyota, but Ranger's on top now.
Now, during Ford's Leadership Celebration, get a $500 cash bonus on Ranger.
How come your coffee is darker than mine?
Mine's decaffeinated Folgers Crystals. Yours is the decaffeinated brand you've been drinking for years.
Mine's lighter looking.
See these dark, sparkling crystals made from Folgers mountain-grown coffee.
It smells really rich.
Alice, looks and aroma are one thing, but how does it taste?
Have a sip.
Mountain grown. Alice, you're right, as usual.
Now I know why I married you. You're so sensible.
Decaffeinated Folgers Crystals. So dark and rich. Shouldn't you switch?
It's a big game, big boy. And that basket seems mighty high. But you know you got the stuff because your mama got you off the ground this morning with a real winner. Howdy ho, wheat, time to gloat. 'Cause you don't wear no sugar coat. You just can't beat that pure whole wheat. Now go tell your mama what the big boys eat.
for all the world to see.
A federal judge in Washington today threw out the confession of alleged terrorist Fawaz Yunus. The FBI captured Yunus in the Middle East, questioned him, then brought him to the United States to stand trial in the 1985 hijacking of a Jordanian jet. During his interrogation, Yunus's wrists were broken. The judge ruled that his confession was made under duress and that he was denied his constitutional right against self-incrimination. However, his trial will go on next month. There are 2 more killings of Palestinians to report on the Israeli-occupied West Bank tonight, a boy and a girl, each 13 years old. Israeli soldiers shot the boy during a riot. A Jewish settler was being questioned in the death of the girl. Israel's Foreign Minister Shimon Peres today responded to a memo about a proposed Iraqi pipeline project and possible bribes to his Labor Party. Peres called the bribe suggestion worthless nonsense. This memorandum was sent to Attorney General Edwin Meese from a friend who had a financial interest in the project. Meese's lawyers released the memo yesterday, and a special prosecutor is examining the Attorney General's conduct in this case. The White House said today that President Reagan stands by Meese despite the latest pipeline disclosures. Well, in his commentary tonight, John Chancellor looks at the Attorney General's role in all of this. John?
Tom, sometimes there are things in the news that are awfully hard to believe, things that just don't seem plausible. Take the memo sent to Attorney General Meese by his old friend E. Bob Wallach on the proposal for a pipeline in the Middle East, a pipeline which could have generated as much as $700 million for Israel, with a share of the money to be paid in private to the Israeli Labor Party. Hot stuff. But the Attorney General says he hardly paid any attention to it, that E. Bob Wallach is always writing him about something, that he didn't recall the details. And this is where it doesn't sound plausible. The memo is marked personal and confidential for your eyes only. It begins, "I hesitate to provide the following information to you in memo form." It describes the money that would go to the Israeli political party, but says that would have to be denied. Along with the memo came a handwritten letter to Meese from none other than Shimon Peres, then Prime Minister of Israel, privately offering his support for the pipeline. Not what you'd call routine correspondence. Now here is Edwin Meese, a lawyer, reading this 2-page memo. He says he just sort of scanned it and missed the part which talked about a proposed political payoff. Meese is the country's top cop, the chief law enforcement officer of the United States, and he didn't spot the trouble in that memo. Well, maybe, but it's a striking example of something that's hard to believe, which is commentary for this evening, Tom.
Thanks, John. At Richland High School in Washington, which is just outside the Hanford Nuclear Reservation, the school has been under attack for its mushroom cloud emblem and its nickname, the Bombers. Some teachers call those too warlike. Well, today the issue was put to a vote by the students, and 90% of them voted to keep the emblem and the name, the Bombers.
Here's Jerry with a new car.
What'd you pay for it?
About $5,700.
Are you kidding?
Does it run on batteries?
What's it made of? Crepe paper?
Does it have a motor? Does it have a motor? Can I kick the tires?
Will the door come off the hinges?
Hey, guess what? It's a Subaru!
Oh, a Subaru!
Subaru!
Only one inexpensive car is built like a Subaru. The Subaru Justy. Inexpensive and built to stay that way.
Such a smart boy. Oh.
If breakfast were as it was meant to be, it would be a centuries-old balance of fruits, grains, and nuts. The breakfast Europeans call muesli. Now muesli comes to America as Kellogg's Mueslix. Oats, wheat, rice, corn, barley, raisins, dates, and hazelnuts. Kellogg's Mueslix. 5 grain or bran. What breakfast was meant to be.
I'm Bryant Gumbel. Tomorrow morning on Today, the latest on the races for the nomination.
I'm Jane Pauley, also Anthony Andrews and Harrison Ford.
Join us tomorrow morning on Today.
On those cold, chilly mornings, hot Nestle Quick made with real milk, 'cause a little warmth goes a long way.
For all of our fascination with them, the Japanese are twice or 3 times or more fascinated with us. They may keep a lot of American products from their markets, but they love American music, clothing, movie stars, and our language. However, as NBC's Jim Bitterman explains tonight, when it comes to language, a lot is lost in translation.
Japanese is an extremely rich language. Some single words, in fact, take an entire English expression to define, like tachiomi, which means standing in front of a newspaper stand reading, or amayadori, which means taking shelter from the rain. But despite the wealth of words in their own tongue, the Japanese, particularly the young, are these days borrowing more and more English words and using them as their own. They wear K-ration labels and truck specifications on their backs and put Western expressions into their song.
It sounds good. It sounds real snobbish or something. And people tend to like that.
The allure of English has led to product names ranging from the merely strange, like automobiles called Urban Dry, and the Big Cedric, to the truly counterproductive, like the soup that's named Goo, or the coffee creamer called Creep, or the soft drink known as Sweat.
Wedding dress. Dress black.
There is a wedding shop named Dress Black. No Time. And a gum called No Time. And sometimes the Japanese use of English is incomprehensible, as at the Scotch Bank, where one is invited to be more Scotch and have more wine.
So many English words are being used in Japan these days that now a dictionary has come out to help explain to those who don't speak English what all the English words mean. Where else but here could one learn, for instance, that the Japanese word for laundromat, koindongri, actually comes from the English coin laundry.
And therein lies one of the greatest difficulties for the Japanese, the confusion over the letters L and R. Japanese TV recently devoted an entire edition of a primetime program to teaching the difference between the two. This being Japan, there was a computer analysis of the way an American said his L's and R's. And there was a tongue simulation demonstration.
Right.
And a candle test.
Light.
And in the end, at least as far as L's and R's are concerned, East had successfully met West.
Light. Right.
Jim Bitterman, NBC News, Tokyo.
L's and R's. Wonder where I can get the telephone number. That's Nightly News for this Tuesday night. I'm Tom Brokaw. I'll see you later tonight with continuing reports on the South Dakota and Minnesota presidential results. I'll see you then.